Hello and welcome to the first episode of the No Thumbs Up series cast. We are gonna be reviewing Falcon and Winter Soldier, the whole series
bit
on
by
Disney
bit,
Plus.
episode by episode.
Yeah,
Through it.
it's gonna be fun. This is kind of a new thing we're doing. We're not sure exactly what series we're probably gonna do going forward. We're probably gonna do Loki when that comes out. I
Definitely. At some
almost
point.
wish we would have done this for WandaVision because we both watched that. We're both people who are caught up on all the MCU. Only one I haven't seen is Far From Home, which technically takes place after this.
It does. It does. It is
Yeah.
after the blip. It's kind of like the first movie to touch on the blip, I think, after it happened. Except for like Endgame.
Well, WandaVision's like right after it, and then
Yeah.
and then this, and then.
They're all jumbled all over the place.
So, my name is Joel, and this is Marvelous Marcel. He'll be your plotsman for today. He's going to go through our plot. Normally, I'm the plotsman for our regular podcast, the No Thumbs Up podcast. If you haven't seen that, we review movies. Go check that out.
It's pretty cool.
But, so if you like what we're doing here, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, stick around, and see the rest of them, and have fun with us as the rest of the episodes come out.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, just leave us a comment and go very detailed, or write multiple comments. We appreciate that too.
Yeah, if you don't like us, just like open this video in like a bunch of tabs, and then like just leave it running. Like
just turn off the volume. Just
make a bunch of accounts. Productive. If you just like all the videos, that would suck. I would hate that.
That would be horrible. We would hate that. That'd be the worst thing you could do to us.
So we're just gonna do like, I guess, a little spoiler-free review at the beginning. Just say
I'll read the synopsis that it says. That's very, very detailed. That describes this episode. Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes realize that their futures are nothing but normal. So, I mean, it gives away everything. Like, right there, we know exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, I guess just to give my little review on this.
Yeah.
It's like, God, it's good so far.
It is. It really is. I was really, I can't say I was skeptical, but I was starting to get skeptical. Because, like, it's not that I didn't like WandaVision. I really, really liked WandaVision. But I was scared they weren't going to be able to kind of top that, and I thought WandaVision was like good, but I didn't think it was like great, right? Like it pulled me in, but it wasn't like, I didn't think it was this masterpiece. But it was good. It was good.
What keeps Marvel?
Like this first episode, holy, like, I think personally, maybe it's more my shtick, but I think it's a big step up, and it like almost feels like an entire like movie, and it's just the first episode.
Yeah, like what keeps like Marvel fresh to me is that all the movies a lot of the movies are kind of in different genres still, and like the shows and stuff. So
even looking at like say Far From Home, or not Far From Home. Well, even Spider-Man, the newer Spider-Man movies are like a high school movie almost, right? Whereas you look at Captain America is a Civil War movie, like it's like a World War I movie, like it's crazy, right?
Yeah, and then there's like really obviously WandaVision is in a bunch of things of its own.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, I don't even know if you can categorize that into one. Well, it's I guess like TV shows, but like they did, and that's one thing I liked about WandaVision, right? Was the fact that it was so different.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of hard to compare the two because like WandaVision's kind of just like a trip, like it's just like, like especially how it plays out, it's just like crazy.
So far,
this is a little bit more straightforward.
So far, does this show remind you of any other show?
Like, it reminds me of the A-Team, to be honest.
It reminds me of The Boys.
Yeah, very much. I get that too. Yeah, I think it's just the beginning sequence reminded me so much of the beginning sequence in A-Team, just like all the aerial stuff. So like from the movie, I guess, not even the TV show, but the movie. So like it gave me like bad like just like all I wanted to hear is just the A-Team theme song. I'll get into it when we actually get into that fight scene. But like, yeah, it's definitely got that lightheartedness, and it's just like, but like it's so not lightheartedness, I guess, like so serious, but like fun, I guess. Like
both the main leads are killing it. Like I mean,
literally, and
really like nice, pertinent cinematography for like more than I was expecting.
Some of the shots, like, even especially on the second view, like some of the shots were like way too good for it. I forgot I was watching a TV show. That's why I was thinking it feels like an actual like Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Because some of the shots are like really well done.
Yeah.
Like
maybe we should well, I guess we both love it.
We both really like it.
Just get into
But here's why we really like it.
Yeah.
Basically the movie starts out with Sam Wilson, who is played by Anthony Mackie. We know him from The Night Before. I think that's like you really like that movie.
Yeah, and he was also in Pain and Gain.
He was also in Pain and Gain. But yeah, he's all getting,
which we reviewed on the No Thumbs Up channel.
Yeah, you should go check it out and maybe give it like a like or something. Maybe like share it around. I mean, we would hate that. But yeah, he's getting all fresh. He's looking mighty fly because actually, I'm not even sure where he's going in that. It doesn't really say. I think it's implied that he's going to
you hear in the background like I guess there's like that whole line exchange between him and Steve.
The shield it feels like it belongs to someone else.
Yeah.
Steve and all the old balls. That was, if you want to understand that, you better watch Endgame. But if you haven't watched Endgame, then why the fuck are you watching this?
I guess there's some whole thing about like, well, they're trying to kind of make it seem like almost like he's going to a funeral, and this whole like putting away of this shield is kind of
shield, yeah, and like the shield's so symbolic. There's a lot of symbolism in this show, which I thought was really. Like some of it was a little kind of forced because it's America, but like that's not a dig. Don't sue me. But like some of it felt kind of forced. But I really like that they're trying to just add some symbolism, and they do a really good job. Like a scene later that I'm gonna kind of go on a tangent about. They just do a really good job of the like the emotion of Sam like not being able to take his place. They really do a good job of showing, not like telling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like. You know, obviously there is telling, but like they show a lot of like symbolism involving that, which I think is just
and like the whole like blip and like everything being so scattered just feels so like now, right? Like with COVID and all that, it's like it's really cool how it's just kind of replicated and they're like, really, like the world needs new heroes. It's like that's
now, that's right now.
Yeah.
Because like especially because Cap. Well, like let's recap. Cap's dead. Iron Man's dead. Black Widow's dead. Thanos, well, to be fair, Thanos killed half the universe, and then everybody kind of came back. So everybody, like, essentially died for 5 years.
Can I go just on a tangent for a second? At one point, that lady in this episode says, she's like, are you dating more now that half the fish in the sea are back? And it got me thinking, half the plant life didn't get wiped out. All the ecosystems would be totally out of whack if you...
They would.
It's like, because some species are way more like invasive and can do more with having more land to themselves, and like some just won't. So it's like, everything would be totally fucking out of whack.
Would it be like half of each species disappeared?
Yeah. Isn't it? Like, half of all living...
But then, like, wouldn't it...
Like, did half of plants go away too?
Fucked out of that after that? Like, dude, imagine the economy. Like, the housing crisis. Like, you imagine you just move into someone else's house because, like, there's just, like, a shitload of free houses now. And then next, 5 years later, you're in the kitchen whipping up some eggs. And next thing you know, like, a woman appears out of nowhere. And she's like, what are you doing in my house?
Yeah.
Like, do they just lose their home? Like, is that it? Like,
well, that's, like, later on. Like, not to jump around too much, but, like... Winter,
like the loan, or was no, sorry, I didn't.
Winter Soldier like gets pardoned for his crimes of murdering all these people, and you gotta
more than 24 like completed assassinations. What they were saying in Civil War, like Winter Soldier. So like at that time, he's like done over 24. Like he killed JFK. They mentioned that in I don't remember which one, but he killed JFK. Like they're just like, no, it's cool, man. Like, you need to disappear for 5 years. Did your time.
They pardon him, But it's like, you gotta imagine after the blip, like, all the systems for everything just must be totally fucked up.
Like, my court date was 5 years ago. Sorry, bro. Like, I think I'm free for, like, killing all these people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you gotta imagine people just got off scot-free for pretty much everything, like,
man,
right after
imagine the jail system after that, though. Like, how many people in prison disappeared, so they had so much more space, and then how, like, overflowing the prisons got after everybody came back.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Holy, that would like, just screw everything up. But yeah, like you said, it does a really good job. This whole show just does a really good job of making everything kind of seem like the world is going to shambles. Because, like, even look at, like, the election this last little bit. And, like, I'm not taking sides or anything like that, but how, like, just how much chaos,
separation
from that, and how much separation evolved from that. So, like, I think making the villains in this kind of represent that separation almost. Like, it's like that's that, or like that unifying shit afterwards, I guess, or unifying to, like, a side. I think, and, like, I also just enjoy the, like, again, the whole symbolism of having, like, hope, right? And I think, like, this show is kind of just like everybody's lost hope after, even, like, they won, but there's still, like, no hope, you know, there's no hope. There's no symbol of hope, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a bittersweet, like, aftermath to, like,
having to still rebuild.
Finale, you know,
yeah. It's like like after the curtains close kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like you always want to see more of, like, the end of a movie, right? Especially if it's a really good movie, you're always curious to, like, what happens next. Like a Scott Pilgrim, like, what happens after, you know? But nobody wants to see, like, Scott and Ramona going through bill troubles and, like, you know, getting in, like, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is literally them going, like, the Captain America, you know, went back and, like, got old, lived with his wife. And you're like, oh, that's awesome, you know? And, like, you know, Iron Man sacrificed himself, and now it's just like...
And it's like, then Falcon can't afford a boat, and you're like, tell me more!
Winter Soldier and Bucky's got PTSD out the wazoo! Oh my god, these whimsical superheroes! I can't wait to see what, like, you know, like, like, I love it, though!
Yeah, no, it's great.
Oh, and especially being an adult now, like, getting into that, when we get into that, being an adult now, and, like, even, like, being someone who goes to see a therapist, like, seeing just, like, the characters that
so
they
humanizing,
made, so much more it's so humanizing, so much more relatable than just these wonderful, you know, everything's gonna be okay guys, you know. But yeah, so he's getting dressed and putting his shield in the bag. And that's the end of that scene. So anyway, it's 6 months after the Endgame battle, and they're going to Tunisia. Tunisia. I can't pronounce countries, but that's okay. Anyway, the Falcon's, like, in a plane, and his captain or whatever, he's doing work for the U.S. Air Force, and his captain is like, yo, you got to go find Captain Vassant, or Vassant, if you will, because he's been abducted by a terrorist organization, LAF, which I don't really know what that stands for.
Yeah, they're just like, you gotta be quiet.
Yeah, we gotta be subtle. You gotta make sure, you know, we gotta do this by the books.
And of course, that line in itself is very not subtle of...
Yeah. I wonder what's gonna... I hope nothing explodes.
I hope this is a very calming next scene.
Yeah, I hope you just go in there, grab the guy, and get out. I hope nothing else happens.
Well, I got him. Oh. Nice.
All right, cool. Thanks. Good job. He also has some ground support, which is... his first lieutenant, I think it's Joaquin Torres, but they just call him Torres. But he, in the comics, actually takes over as Falcon, but it's because he gets kidnapped and becomes, like, a half Falcon hybrid using, like, the Falcon Red Wing, I think was his name.
Yeah.
So, like, in the actual comics and stuff, like, the Falcon had, like, an actual Falcon, not the little robot thing.
Yeah.
I like how they went with it. It'd be kind of silly to just see a bird go.
Yeah,
it'd be fucking awesome. But I like the robot. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, we normally during our podcast we give a thumbs up moment and a thumbs down moment. We're not going to be doing thumbs down moment for these. We are going to be doing a vibranium thumbs moment.
For those who don't know, Captain America's shield is made out of vibranium, and so is the Winter Soldier's arm now. So it's, you know, it's kind of a rare element.
But what I was gonna say is, if I were to give a thumbs down, it would be to the fact that that thing is voice activated, and he doesn't have anything over his mouth while he's flying, and he's like flying like however really fast it's like you just like full of air.
Yeah, like he's flying like faster than George of the Jungle, doing like his like massive vine swing, you know, where his face is going like Mach 10. It's just like, but like, you know, he could still like talk clearly. It would sound more like
yeah.
Maybe I don't know, like maybe but that's some comic book shit we kind of let slide.
Yeah,
the motherfucking Falcon.
I think people just want to see like it's just like you kind of want to see his face while he's flying around.
Yeah,
like,
and I mean I do like the fact that he just has like his goggles on. Like,
yeah,
you know, they protected his eyes. Who cares about the rest of the face?
Yeah, he's just eating bugs the whole time.
Yeah, he's like, you know, you'd be like, dude, a wasp at the I mean, granted, I don't know why there'd be a wasp like that high up, but how does he breathe? Because he's really high up. Like, how does he? You know, the air would be really. We can't get into the technicalities.
I don't know.
You know, like how does the Winter Soldier can move his arm pretty easily? We don't have that thing. You know, is it connected to his brain?
Well, Wakanda can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Wakanda. Maybe they. I don't know. Gave Sam some iron lungs or some shit.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, yeah. So, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go save the captain. So the captain's like in this plane that was hijacked by some French terrorists.
By GSP, who was in Winter Soldier.
He was, or was he?
Yeah, he in the very first scene.
He was at the beginning. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which, like, I didn't think they'd bring him back.
I like that. I didn't notice that.
Do you know who he is? He's like a UFC like champion, and he's Canadian.
Wait, what's his name?
George St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre.
Yeah. Huh. GSP. My dad loves that guy.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
God, that's actually kind of.
Wait.
I'm just trying to find my notes. That's sick. I didn't know
George St. Pierre is a Canadian former professional mixed martial artist. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters in a mixed martial arts history.
And I like how they didn't kill him in this scene either, because like one thing I didn't like about Civil War, I'm going back again to another Marvel rant, but they killed Crossbones within the first fucking like 10 minutes of the movie, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like Crossbones is like a big villain, and they use him as a side character, just to get like Wanda to be like a villain, which I thought was really stupid. You know, so I like how they brought back like you know he's gonna come back, right?
Crossbones? Who's?
He was the guy that like in Civil War at the very beginning that had basically the mecha fist that could like, you know, punch harder, and then he blows up, and Wanda like captures the explosion.
Oh, right.
And then he's like, we don't need superheroes anymore. And Iron Man's like, yeah, I'm all sad because he killed a kid, so we should just be punished. And Captain America's like, no, don't take our freedom. And then the whole movie goes. I fucking hate that movie. I tried rewatching it again last night, and
Wait, which movie did? Civil War?
Civil War, yeah.
I love Civil War.
If you read the comics, that's my mistake. Because the comics is so big. Like I'm talking like the Fantastic Four splits up. It's just like they have like everybody, so it's like a lot more like, you know, families against families, and like you know, I like that. In this one, it was just kind of like, you know, 4 guys on each side. Like it was just really like smaller, which I can understand there's not a whole lot to like work on because, you know, you're using the MCU, but it was also just the fact that they made Iron Man like an obvious villain and Captain America like the obvious like right guy. But then it's like in the comics they kind of did a little bit better at like fitting the lines between both. It was just basic, and I thought like it was just really forced. I just had a really hard time with that movie.
Yeah, it felt like they had to wedge it in, but I mean.
But we got Zemo, or I think that's his name, right? Zemo, the bad guy, who's going to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He has a purple mask in this show, but we haven't seen him yet. But he's supposedly like one of the bad guys.
Yeah, that's the like guy who sets everything up.
Yeah, he like activates the Winter, because after the Winter Soldier, Wanda like leaks everything online. And so that's where Zemo, I hope I'm getting his name right, Zemo finds the information about the Winter Soldier and like how he can be activated, and then he activates him. But then that's why Bucky goes to Wakanda, and then he gets like his brain unscrambled, and that's why he's there in like Endgame. But like, yeah, so apparently Zemo's supposed to be in this, but like later. Anyway, yeah, I guess. So Falcon is like catching up to the plane, and he's like hanging off the side of the plane, just like looking in the window. And the French guy's like, oh, like he's like, oh yeah, they captured the plane or whatever. And the French guy looks up and then just sees him. Falcon like dips out, and he's like, oh my god, there was a guy on the wing. It's like, okay, shut up, like you're dumb. Which like that's a valid response. If like someone was just like, yo, there's something on the wing, you know, like it's a valid response to just be like, dude, you're fucking dumb. Like,
yeah, well, yeah, the fact they start off with this scene of just all the how it escalates, and like they go down through the rocks, and he's just like whipping around stuff.
Like, cuts out the door, or his little guy like cuts out the door flies off, which like nobody falls out, which like I thought like, you know, cabin air pressure, but maybe I'm just dumb, but like, you know, there was no change in pressure inside the plane. So like, you know, but yeah, so then he goes in, he starts fighting some peoples in the plane before they hop out and shit, which like I fucking love that scene, because he like grabs the dude and uses the jetpack and like bashes his head into a fucking wall. But yeah, and then he knocks everybody out, and then like he's like, oh, I'm here to save you, and then everybody's just awake again, and they just start like hitting him, and it's, so he obviously didn't do a very good job. But yeah, and then they like grab the Captain Bassant and hop out in their fucking wingsuits, and then it just gets into like they just ramp it up. You're right, they just go from like,
and I'm sure that plane just ends up somewhere.
Yeah, the plane, well, it's on autopilot, so I guess it's just going to keep going until it runs out of fuel.
Maybe he goes and gets it later.
But yeah, in my notes, it cut out, so I just wrote, they hop out in wingsuits, then choppas come out and shoot heat seekers at Falcon.
Yeah, like, yeah, he's swerving through all this stuff, and then all of a sudden there's just all these choppers, and you're just like,
yeah,
okay,
which
like,
is fucking awesome. Apparently, it's like the bad guys, like they're like with him, they were his attraction, so their whole plan was to like leave the plane, I guess, and like they were supposed to get picked up by the choppers, but they don't really explain that. They just kind of explode.
My vibranium thumb moment goes to even though like you get so much of like him flying like almost like a jet or like a jet pack, when he gets up to that one point where there's like the helicopter and he has to swoop up above it, it's like the fact that there's still just like wings, like it's
so fucking awesome,
because like nothing else would be able to make that like adjustment, so it's just really cool.
I also really like the wing, how they incorporated wingsuits into this, which like that's honestly like that scene when that whole scene's just so fucking good. I don't even know what to talk about first, because I love the goofiness of having them have wingsuits, because it's kind of like, you know, a quirky villain thing. But like, and then just like when they shoot heat seekers at him, I'm like, this is so like generic, because heat seekers are like everything. But then how even at like the very end when he like goes and like closes his wings, grabs the guy, and fucking makes it up the other side of the helicopter and blows up.
I know, and it's like it feels like I've seen that before, but it was still so awesome.
But it's been so long since I've seen a solid just like superhero sequence, you know, and it's like, they waste no time just getting into like a really well shot action scene, because they even have like first person.
Yeah, really.
Like
you're just not used to seeing this stuff in like TV shows.
Yeah, it's really well shot. Everything you know what's going on, and even when like they're blowing up all the rocks around him and he's fucking like swerving, like that's cool. Like it's superhero shit. I want to see more of that. You know, like I guess I'm just such a sucker for cool superhero shit. Like, oh yeah, and so then so they had to stop him before they get to the border, and then Sam like does it, and Torres is like woo, and like I love how Torres the whole time too, he's watching from binoculars, just fanboying over Falcon. He's just like, oh, that's cool, which like is understandable. It's like that would be cool,
yeah,
you know.
He's like, oh no, look, he's not gonna get him. Oh, he's gonna get him. He's just like making all these little comments all the time.
Yeah, like I would be. Are you kidding me? And I like how he's, like I love that. I love Torres actually. Like I actually really like him as like that quirky sidekick type thing, because like it really works. And I just because Falcon, like Sam himself, is like kind of a goofy. He's a little bit less like serious in comparison to say Don Cheadle, who's Iron Man's like sidekick, like War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name again in this? It's
War Machine.
James Rhodes. But Don Cheadle.
Oh, Rhodey is what they call him.
Rhodey. Yeah, sorry, Rhodey. But yeah, because even in Civil War, you see them talking, and you can tell Sam's a little more like relaxed. So I like just having someone even a little bit more goofier beside him. I think that really works. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for the the mix of that and Bucky Barnes, right? I think even Bucky being such a serious character, which we'll get to, just is like a really good balance of characters,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, then after they did a good job and all that, they're just having some tea out at a little tea shop, I guess. Tunisian City is where they're at, because like Falcon's like working on his suit, and then Torres comes out, and sits talking to him, and he's got his phone out the whole time. Actually, at one point, a family comes over, and they're like, "Oh, you're an Avenger. You saved you brought my wife back to me. Thank you." And like the Falcon's like speaks a perfect like Persian, I think it was.
No, they said he speaks. Oh shoot, what they say? Oh, you speak.
I can't remember. I thought it was Persian, but I might be wrong.
No, I don't know.
He speaks their language perfectly, and so they're like, "Oh, is there anything you can't do?" But then Torres has this, like I said, he has his phone out, so it looks like he's kind of just like. At first, I thought he was just taking vacation photos, which I thought would be pretty funny if he's just like, "Yeah, I've never been to Tunisia before, so like just taking videos." But it turns out he's using like this app, and there's like a symbol on the wall that you can find. And it was for the Flag Smashers, is what they call the group, which is a superhero or villain. Actually, I can't remember if he's a villain or a superhero. I think he's a superhero. Back in like the MCU, just going to my superhero Bible here real quick. But yeah, so they kind of turned like this guy into an organization that believes that life was better during the blip, which the Torres says, yeah, nah, it wasn't. It was kind of doo-doo. Oh, there it is. He initiated. Oh no, he's a villain. Yeah, he initiated a terrorist campaign against the symbols of national identity. So Captain America repeatedly defeats him, but Captain America's dead. So who's going to defeat him this time?
So Captain America, because he's back.
Yeah. No, he's not. We'll get into that later. I wish he was, but sadly we got like discount. He's like the one you hire for a birthday party. That's literally how he looks.
You know who that guy is who plays him? He is the guy
in Overlord. He's the blonde guy.
Right. Overlord. But you know who else he is? He's if you've watched Black Mirror, he's the episode with the video game where like,
yeah. I really like him as an actor. His name is
I think he's good, yeah.
It is Wyatt Russell is his name. And we'll explain who he is in the show later, which I don't know why he's third credited on this, because he's in it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
He's clearly going to be in it.
Right? He's got to be a guy. Torres is like, well, what's next for the Falcon? And he's like, I got to go back to Washington. And he's like, why? And he's like, I got to do some stuff. Got to go do some things. I can't remember what he says. He says a really funny line. I can't remember what it was. It's like, superhero. I don't remember. Anyway.
They have that whole thing about did like Captain America get buried on the moon?
Oh, moon stuff. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh yeah, I gotta go do moon stuff, and
But then when he gets back, basically he's retiring. He's giving the Smithsonian Museum his shield, or the Captain America shield.
Yeah.
Believing that, he can't follow that legacy. He doesn't want, he's like, I think, you were wrong giving me this shield.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, it's such...
And he kind of means, like, this is untouchable. Like, Steve is untouchable. Yeah. Put this away in a glass box where no one can touch it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, here's the new Captain America.
Yeah, they just piss all over it, which like just like I could imagine why he's so like mad, and that's why I really liked that ending.
Yeah. But like
then just having like him put the shield like away, like you can tell he's just holding it, and he's like, I know you really wanted me to have this, but I truly don't believe I can match up to what you were.
But like at the same time, it's like there's this whole thing about like legacy, and he's trying to like put it away and be like, you know what, I want this to be here so that I can come back to it when I want it. And that's not what the people want right now, because they need hope, right? So like they give it to the other person, so it's really like kind of an inner turmoil for him, because like
it's so good. Like it's just the amount of fucking, like I said, the amount of just personal symbolism, or just like with especially with Sam's character, the like just it's so
like in this scene, like Steve just looking down on him in the background.
Like you got this, and like this, because like right after that, War Machine, aka Don Cheeto, aka Rhodey, he's in the crowd. And at first I thought there was like a little bit of distaste, because like Iron Man, like sacrificed his life for all this. And so when like Sam's talking about how meaningful he is and how big it is, it almost looks like Rhodey's kind of like, yeah, but my main superhero was better. I kind of got a little bit of that. I could be completely wrong, but both times I watched it, I picked up on a little bit of that.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of like they're kind of like the right hand man to both.
They're the sidekicks. Yeah, that's what they are. Let's be real. Falcon's always been a sidekick, and it's nice to see him get his own thing, right? And War Machine's gonna have his own thing in the next little while too, which I'm excited for, to see Don Cheeto in like a good, like he's a good actor, so I'm excited to see him in his own thing. But yeah, so then like I find it almost turns to sympathy as well, because Sam blipped, right? So like not only did he blip, come back and like lose his his best friend, and like same with Rhodey, right? Like Rhodey blipped as well. So Rhodey's kind of like, oh, I know how you're feeling. So then like they have this really really good talk scene where it's just Sam and Rhodey going through Captain America's like museum at the section at the Smithsonian. Why can't I not say that? The Smithsonian. So I love that too, because like as he's talking about how he doesn't feel that he's that guy, he can't be that guy, and like how it's weird coming back to what the world is. It's also like Captain America's glory is just surrounding him during all of that, so it's so like just almost deep in a way, like watching it, you feel what he's feeling through that, like it's, you feel the sense that you want to be like, fill his shoes, and like.
And we've been in this place before, also in Civil War.
Yeah, exactly. So because that's where. Oh, and in the Winter Soldier, because like that's where like Steve goes back and steals his suit, and Stanley.
Or not Civil War, Winter Soldier. I meant
Stanley, R.I.P. The true.
Yeah. I'm gonna be in big trouble.
His suit's gone. I love that scene. Actually, I rewatched that last night.
Same.
So it was so good. But yeah, and then after that, we see a really, really well shot action scene, which again, I fucking love how they're going from like fucking cool action scene to really serious like drama, and they're nailing everything they're doing. Like, so then it goes to like this really kind of like, you see this really beautiful hotel, and we see a group of interns going to their rooms. And like then there's these like, you can tell they're bad guys because they're wearing suits, and like there's a lot of them. So they're coming through, and then they're standing by the wall. Next thing you know, a dude gets ripped through the goddamn wall. Which like, that's just beauty. I just love that.
Yeah.
And then we get a classic Winter Soldier with his long hair, looking all sexy, looking like Snake Eyes off of fucking G.I. Joe. Coming in, doing some cool.
Looks like a Mortal Kombat character.
He does.
He looks so fucking cool.
Oh, I just like he just brings out the inner like child in me. That's just like I want to buy his toy. Like he's cool.
Yeah.
His action figure,
Yeah.
But yeah, so he comes in. He's doing some kick flips. He's shooting people's, blocking bullets with his arm, all that cool Winter Soldier shit. And actually, this is my no wait, this isn't. This was gonna be. This was a really close one, because I also love the Winter Soldier. I have a little bit of soft spot for him, but like this was gonna be it. But so yeah. Anyway, he goes and like basically the next scene's it. But he goes and he's killing all the bad guys, and he's going to like he's choking out like the main guy, I guess that was his target. And you see this guy fiddling with his key, trying to get in his room, like shit his pants. Which, like, understandably, you know, like
yeah.
Oh, gee, dang it! Gosh darn it! Dropping his keys, fumbling around, and then he's just looking at the Winter Soldier, who's like emotionless, and just looks at him, starts walking over. He's like, "I didn't see nothing, bro. I didn't see anything. I can't even see. I'm blind. Is anybody there? I can't hear nothing. I'm deaf too. Like, you know." Trying so hard to like but obviously the Winter Soldier's just like not even giving a shit, kills him, and then Bucky wakes up sleeping on his little makeshift bed on the floor watching the soccer game.
Yeah, because like they have this whole thing about in Civil War, no, not Civil War, sorry, Winter Soldier again. Like Sam, when he's talking to Steve, he's saying like, oh yeah, like basically once you got back from the war, like your bed feels like a marshmallow, you can't sleep on it, so you have to sleep on the floor. So Winter Soldier's sleeping on the floor there.
I didn't actually I remember that line of dialogue, but I didn't actually catch that for the show. Like, yeah that's so accurate. And it actually that really goes into the next scene too, like with what he says and how he's described when he starts opening up a bit. But yeah, so then he's like waking up, also like low key, like he's looking mighty fucking in shape with his robot arm. I'll be real, that's just like he's just an attractive specimen.
He is allegedly, like I read that he said that this show is the best shape he's ever been in. So at some point, we're gonna see him just rip it off, and it's just gonna just be like,
just show me them abs. But yeah, and then immediately from that scene where he wakes up from his nightmare, this is when so then he goes to his therapist. This is when so he goes to his therapist the next day, which this is actually my thumbs up, my vibranium thumbs up moment. Just this whole scene, I'll be real, I can't pick one because of the way it's shot when he's sitting there and like everything behind's blurred and it's just him, and it's almost like you can tell he's having an off day. They, like you mentioned that when we were watching last night, like they're really showing, like you just feel the whole scene. You just really like visually feel it.
It's like, it just reminds me of like when you're just kind of like somebody's talking to you and you don't want to like talk to them because you're having like a really like kind of off day, and you're just kind of like you're only focusing and like not blinking at something.
You're just trying to think through shit yourself. Like you're just like kind of stuck in your own head.
Yeah.
And so she's like, like talking to he's talking to his therapist, and she's talking to him, and she's like, "Oh, you been having nightmares?" And he doesn't answer her, and then
he says no.
He does. Because he's just like trying to like hide, and then she brings out the notebook, and he's like, "That's passive aggressive." And he's just like,
"You're not gonna talk. I'm gonna take notes."
Yeah, literally. So then, there's like this whole scene, like I said, is just really, really well done. And then he starts opening up a bit, and he kind of talks about how he made amends. And she's like, "Well, did you follow the 3 rules?" And so the 3 rules was number 1, like nothing illegal. And you see him like kind of like putting this thing under a car, and then he's like listening into the person's conversation. Basically, it was a Senate, I think it was a Hydra member who got elected into Congress because of him. And so we hear like saying like, well, if this guy's gonna be a problem, just end him. And then like Winter Soldier like takes over her car and like makes it like drive out and like pull forward, which like I don't know why he moved it just 2 parking stalls down, but all right.
Just to freak him out, which like I
think that's what it was.
Technically is illegal, but
also he did assault someone too, so someone did get hurt.
Yeah.
But it was self-defense, I guess, because he pulled out a gun, so I guess it's not as bad.
Yeah.
And then that's the second rule. No, was it nobody gets killed or nobody gets injured? I think it was injured.
Yeah.
Which someone did. He like he goes up to the window and like bashes her in the face. And
he did punch the guy with his not metal arm.
Yeah, he killed him. So I guess but he's still a super soldier, so that would still.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
It was the best thing he could do in that situation to make sure that he didn't fucking kill that guy. He's like, yeah, sometimes with this metal arm, don't know. You should
punch a hole through his head. It's like.
Sometimes you can't tell your own strength. I mean, what can I say? He's like, come see, come saw, man.
Sometimes I pull my dick off. It happens.
Do you ever think he would? Like, I don't know if he would, like, would you try? Like, maybe he's like, yo, I got, like, a superhero dick. Maybe I can't rip it off. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like,
a super soldier dick.
Puts his arm in, like the microwave for not the microwave, maybe the oven or something for a couple seconds.
Vibranium dong.
Does vibranium feel good on your dicker? Like, I'm curious now. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into the Winter Soldier sex life. That's a whole nother video.
That's next episode.
Yeah, where we'll get really into superhero sex. So anyway, yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, did you follow the third rule?" And so I love this because the window rolls down, and he's like, "My name is Bucky Barnes. I am no longer the Winter Soldier, and you are on my list of making amends." And just like a forced smile and walks away. And then the cops show up and whatever, and they get arrested.
It's a funny, like, kind of, what do you call it, character foil, of Winter Soldier and Steve, because Steve has the list of things that he wants to learn and, like, do new, and he has the list of things he wants to make amends for.
Which I really, really just love his list. Like, because, like, again, I love the Winter Soldier as a villain, but I love a good villain turned hero and the stuff that comes with that. That's why I like WandaVision. That's why I loved Wanda as a character. Because she's trying so hard to, like, do what's, you know, like, make things better, but it's not her fault, you know, like, even after everything that's happened to her. So, like, seeing something similar, but, like, with someone who's, like, actively, like, killed people, but not being able to control it, like, actively.
And like he says, like, he wasn't, like, asleep. Like, he remembers all of it.
He remembers everything. So, like, you know, it's, like, I feel a little bit more, like, sympathetic towards him in comparison to, like, say, Wanda, whereas Wanda kind of had, like...
She, like, chose...
Yeah, there was a lot of
that
stuff. But, like, I know it also stands for her past, so it's not like she is, like, a purpose villain. So there's a little bit of a blurred line, but with, like, Bucky, I find the lines, like, even more blurred. But yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, you know, you're getting, like, show me your phone because, like, you're, you know, like, you're closed off. You're not making any friends." He's like, "Bro, I got homies," and she's like, "Well, show me your phone." And she, like, pulls it out, and it's just a bitch. She's just like, "You don't even have 10 people."
She's like, "You ain't got no hoes. You ain't got no bros."
Like, and he's like, "You've been ignoring texts from Sam." You know, and then she, like, tosses it back. She's like, "That's pathetic." It's just like fucking ragging. Which, like, I understand her tactic. Like, she's trying to get through to him, and, like, then she mentioned she was he's like, "You're a terrible shrink." She's like, "Oh, it's good."
Yeah, at one point she's just like, "That's bullshit," and she's like, "You're a terrible shrink." And I literally said that at the same time as him. I was like, "Wow, she's a terrible."
Yeah, she's a fucking horrid shrink. It's when because she's like, "Oh, what do you want? What do you want now?" Because that's when it started. That's when he mentions, like, after, like, all he's been is asleep and then just violence, and then he gets out of that and it's like more violence, war, trying to fight for civil war, and then he gets out of that and they have to bring him back to fight for the end of the fucking world, and then he blips and then comes back and he has to fight the same shit again. Like, you know, and then so, like, after all of that, you know, it's finally everything's kind of calmed down a bit, like, I mean, except for what Wanda's doing out in Pleasant View or whatever the fuck that town's called, you know, shit's kind of going off out there, but, like, yeah, I think that's after this, though. Like, I think chronologically, WandaVision...
No, this is after.
This is after?
Yeah.
So did WandaVision already happen then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. So, yeah, like, WandaVision, you know, she's doing her own thing. But, like, I kind of forgot where I was going with that. But, yeah, I love just, like, him going, like, you know, like, talking about just how his entire life has been just war. And she's like, "Well, what do you want?" He's like, "Peace." She's like, "That's bullshit."
Yeah.
He's just like, "What? She asked him what he wanted, and he's like, "Peace." And I'm like, "That's a good answer." She's like, "No, you're a fucking liar." And he's like, "Terrible shrink."
Yeah.
You throwing shade, I'll throw it back, bitch. And then she's just like, she goes on a spiel about how she's like, "Oh, I may be a terrible shrink, but I was a good soldier." And, you know, when you're in that, you just, you know, like, the worst thing you could be is by yourself. Which I think, and, you know, and then the next scene after that, he's like going to his, you know, his neighbor. What's his neighbor's name? Back in Brooklyn, because he's living in Brooklyn, which again I think is really, really cool, because that's where he used to live when he was, like, you know, back in the day. So I think that's where him and Steve live, and I just think that, like, going back, like, having him live in Brooklyn is just really, like, a good idea. But yeah, he breaks up a fight between Yori Nakajima and Unique was the guy's name. or Munich. No, it was unique. It was unique, and the guy's just like trying to put his trash, and the old as the old Legion. It's just like, get your own damn garbage, like my trash can, like just being difficult, and Bucky's just like, why are you guys fighting? And the dude's just like, he's putting garbage in my trash can. Like Bucky's just like, well, let's go for lunch. I don't want to Come on, I'll pay. Okay, but no talking. And then immediately he's just talking. He's just like 90. Nobody's past 90 in this. And it's just like, yeah, because then after that they're sitting at the bar or I guess it's like a sushi bar, I guess.
Yeah, and then this is where we meet the lady working behind the sushi bar, Leah. And the older guy kind of
has a moment. Like, or wait, is that after, or does he ask her out first? I think he asks her out first, or asks her out first. He's just like, hey, my friend thinks you're cute, and Bucky's like, don't do this, and she's just like, oh yeah,
why not? I want to go on a date. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And she's just like, I'll date your friend, and like, I mean, like, look at Bucky. Who the fuck wouldn't? Yeah, he may be 106, but like, he still got it.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston needs some fucking tips from that man, because he's looking fucking good at 106.
Yeah.
Which I also love all the old man jokes. How they're like, you can go play bingo or canister or whatever, and then she's like, oh, why are we not playing that? And he's like, well, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
But then the old man that he's with, what's his name again? Yori is like, starts kind of blanking out and like looking at some beans, and he's just like,
my son loved the red mochi.
And we kind of like see,
and it's like
kind of pause a bit.
Like, I get that he's probably in this guy's life because of the list, but like at the first when I saw it, I was like, well, this seems kind of convenient.
It is. I mean, and that's kind of what I thought at first too, and then later on we figure out why. So I guess we'll get to that, because it is kind of like the only plot twist in this. But like, so yeah, and then they observing the memory of his late son. Oh, he mentions his son was working abroad, and then
he got killed.
He was, but they're not sure how. Yeah. And then the next scene is Sam going to Delacroix, Louisiana. That's where his sister lives. His sister's name is Sarah. But yeah, so he's like out in Louisiana visiting his sister, because he got finished up with doing the America thing. And his sister has a boat. She's trying to maintain her struggling seafood business, so she like obviously fishes and stuff, but apparently the boat's like old, decrepit, and she's like, I'm thinking about selling the boat, and he's like, that's my boat, you can't sell the boat. And then I really like the relationship between him and his sister. I think again it's just another like layer of humanizing the Falcon, right? Like humanizing Sam. And having him disappear for so long, and then
the boat is kind of like the shield. He wants to put it away and come back to it when he's ready. But then the boat was kind of when he blipped and came back. He's come back and he's like, well, I don't care if I was gone for 5 years. This is still like my boat. And now he wants to just come back to it.
And she's like, I was like, because like it was their father's boat. And then when their dad got sick, Sam went and started fighting in the Air Force, or like started working and like going to war. And then, it's kind of implied that the dad passed away during that time. And like, it's almost like Sam ran away from reality, and then getting blipped after he was fighting monsters for 5 years. Like his sister kind of just like, I've been just on my own. And then he kind of mentions that, Sam's is like, well, she's like, I don't need your help. And he's like, well, like, it's none of your business. And he's like, well, you made it my business when you tied up the house and all these loans. And she like punches him, and he's just like, I forgot how hard you hit. And then he like goes around to like talk to her, and he's like, don't hit me again, which I think is just really funny. Like, I don't have siblings, but that's kind of just I imagine like sibling talk would be. Like, and then I kind of get, he's like, I'm gonna help you get a loan. And she's like, you don't know what it's like now. And he's like, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna help you get a fucking loan.
And then they have like the shittiest bank teller or bank worker.
I think that's
the next scene, or?
That's like one of the last scenes here.
Oh.
So then the next scene is on Bucky's date with Leah. He like comes in, gives her flowers, and she's like, "Oh, this is an old man thing."
Which like, is it?
I don't know. I still buy James flowers. Like. Yeah. I think if you don't, then you're kind of just a bad boyfriend. This is love advice with Joel and Marcel. buy your woman flowers. It's easy and it's cheap, and they will smile probably or throw it in your face. So like, it's a mixed bag.
There you go.
Yeah, that's been a love advice with Joel and myself.
Coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, it's just us. We go to like Sobeys, wait in line, buy a bouquet of roses, and they just like throw it out, and that's it. Anyways, so yeah, and then they're on their date, and she's like asking him how old he is, and he's like, "Oh, I'm 106," and she's like, "Ha ha ha," and he's just like, "Ha ha ha," and then he talks with like internet dating and how different it is, which like understandably, like I know like Hot or Not, like Tinder existed back in 2015 or whatever, but like 5 years, how much like dating's even changed now in 5 years, so like it's understandable that he's just like, I don't get any of this.
He's talking about like tiger pictures, which is funny, but like
I thought that was really funny. A little bit dated, but like kind of funny. And then like she's like, "You sound like my dad," and he's just like, "All right," which like it's kind of just like even like it's kind of like he's just vibing, leave him alone.
It gets so much worse.
I know. But yeah, so then she like pulls out a game and she's like, "Let's drink beer and play Battleship," and so he's like, "Yeah, I guess." And then we see the next scene, he's got like 7 beers empty beside him, and he's on his 8.
What are you doing? Like, wow. Reading your mind? Please don't.
Don't do that. Yeah, so then and then they're playing Battleship, and she gets a hit, and he's got a drink, and she's like, "Oh, you got a drink?" And he's like, "Oh, I guess," like because the super soldier. I think they touched upon a couple times. They touched upon it in Captain America, like a little bit when he first becomes a super soldier, and how like he can't really drink, so he can't get drunk. Yeah. But like I think the best example of that was it's I know it's DC, but the Flash. There's an episode where he's at the bar and he's like, "There's not even a point to drinking. I can't even feel the effects of alcohol." And they give him like a little vial, and they're like, "This will get you drunk for about 20 seconds," and he drinks it, and he smashed for 20 seconds, and he's like, "God, I missed that." So like I think it's just really funny how he's literally just drinking like 8 beers, but you just feel so bloated and just gross without the effects of alcohol. So he's just drinking it because he likes beer. So that's
or you kind of get that it's also like a character foil to Steve, where it's like Steve would just not drink because he couldn't get drunk, whereas he'll just like keep drinking to try and do it anyways.
Just try to cover up his demons any way he can. But yeah, and then she Leah starts talking about Yori's son, and was like, "Yeah, you know how they say if your wife dies, you're a widow, and if your your parents die, you're an orphan, but losing your kid's the worst thing that could ever happen." So like this guy, like just like really hammering it, just like,
man, can you imagine if you killed somebody's kid? Can you imagine if you killed specifically that guy's kid?
How shitty would you feel if you were the reason that guy's kid was dead? I mean, if I was that guy, I'd just kill myself. Like, really. Like, she's just really hammering it. And then we find out, obviously, in the next scene.
In fact, if I knew who that guy was, I might ask him out on a date and have a pistol pointed at him under this table at this very moment.
I guess that was fucking awesome, actually. And then it's just like, becomes a full-out fight scene. Turns out. Sadly, none of this happens. He just runs out of the date without telling her anything. He just up and fucks off. So like, but I think that's hilarious. He's just like, "What? I'll be right back." And he doesn't even say that. He's just like, "Oh, 1 sec," and just leaves.
He's like, "I need to go."
So then he goes back. We see him in his apartment, going to Yori's apartment. He knocks on the door, and then Yori opens it, and he's just standing there. And you see in the background, there's a shrine. That's like, he kind of just leaves, like, "Oh, I forgot to pay for lunch." Just leaves and goes home. So like, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But you see in the background, that Yori's son was the intern in the scene from the beginning where Winter Soldier killed him. Winter Soldier killed his kid, and then Winter Soldier or Bucky pulls out his little notebook, and Yori's like circled. And so I really, really like that. I know, because at first I kind of figured it was that, but then I'm like, this seems really like hammering it in, so I don't think it can. But then I did really like just even making him be friends with this old man, because he feels so much remorse for like just without option, like just having to kill his kid, right? He could kill himself. So I think it's just another good layer to Bucky and just his character now, since he's like free and like. It's kind of like he has a purpose, but he doesn't feel. That's why he's still living nightmares too. I guess that's still why it's implied, is because like he's he's still like regretting everything he's done, and it's a really good look at him. So I think that's like really cool. So then Bucky just basically goes to bed. And then it cut this part out. So like the next scene after that is the bank scene. And so I did cut it out, so I had to kind of write a quick note, and I wrote, in Switzerland, Torres meets up with flag smashers, and they hand out masks, and everyone runs around policing his body.
So basically, like, everyone's on, like, you get this, like, app that whatever the Red Hand is using to kind of get all their people. They're all meeting in this outside space, and they're like, oh, what are we supposed to do? This person whistles. They have a bag of masks. Everyone starts putting on these masks, and this dude jumps out.
The masks are, like, awesome. Like, I would love to keep one of those. That's fucking cool.
I mean, you probably gotta ditch it, to be honest, but
okay, and like low-key, it's kind of like a I want to say his name's Fox from V for Vendetta. Like it's kind of like a that vibe that like anybody can be a vigilante. Like so, it's kind of like again that like unionization of people wanting to like make a difference. But yeah, so then like you said, the guy like pops out the window like a fucking badass.
And it just hits it, and then just hits the ground. So you get that he's like probably some sort of super soldier or something.
That because I was trying to figure out who that was, right? So I thought it's Flag Smasher is what we got, and it's Aaron Kellyman or Carly Morgenthau as Flag Smasher. So I think that's who that was.
Okay.
But again, I'm not 100% sure, so I'll have to wait until like the next episodes where we kind of get an idea of who that was, because you're not really supposed to know anyway. We're still shrouded in mystery of who that was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it was a man, you know, like it was really like buff, and like it just looked very, or like I thought that was a man, I guess. So I didn't think that was like her. I thought maybe she was one of the other people, but that could be her. I have no problem with female villain. I love female villains. It's like so. So then he's got the money bags, and it, like the app just like tells everybody to start running around. So like creating like diversions, and then he gives the money bags to two people running the other way, so you can tell it's organized. Again, like you can tell there's not just him. He's not just I guess or her working by himself. And then Torres like takes off his mask, and like he's like. He still has the mask on. Sorry, and he's like running up, and then a cop's just like, "Hey, stop!" And Torres is just like, "Whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry." Just like bodies this dude and just like apologizes, and then we see the Flag Smasher like just like look over, and there's a cop like hitting one of the people that were running, and he just goes over and boots him into the next dimension. Like just launches this fucking guy against the pole. So we see that he's got super strength, right? We kind of see some Captain America like super soldier-esque, you know. So like that's kind of my theory so far, is that it's a group of super soldiers. But yeah, and then Torres comes up and he's like, "Hey, I don't know how the laws work here for, like I'm not supposed to be in this country and arrest people, but like I'm arresting you." And he's like right up close to him with the gun, and it's like, dude, you just saw him like kick the shit out of a police guy. Why would you be that close to him or her? Again, I don't know.
And he gets dunked.
Oh, just like picked up like perfectly like straight and just pile driving the ground, which like I thought would have like broken his spine, to be honest. Like he hit the ground hard, and then he just boots him and like knocks him the fuck out, right? So then it cuts to the bank scene, or them getting ready for the bank scene, and basically like Sam and his sister are like making plates. So they don't really touch upon that, but I think they were going to like sell them.
Yeah, they're selling like food plates or something. Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think like the food looked really good. I'll be real. I was a little when I was watching that, and I was like, damn, I love good Southern cuisine. So I'm like watching them cooking. I'm like, oh, I love rice and shit. Like I know there's gonna be some shrimp up in there, and I'm like, fuck, man, I'd love just a plate of that. But yeah, and then so then they go to the bank, and
dude immediately recognizes him.
Yeah, he's like, and you play sports, right? And Falcon's like, nah, I didn't play sports. And he's like, I recognize you. And Falcon's like, do you? You recognize me? You can tell, because like even before that, like when he was like first at the boat, everybody was talking to him about being the Falcon, and some guys like, when could I borrow the wings? He said, when you pay my sister back her $100. And he's like, nah, but give me 50.
Yeah.
So like you kind of get the sense that like even like everybody that he knows, is like hyping him up and stuff. So he's thinking that because it's the Falcon, he's gonna get this loan.
He's like, yeah, well, like how do superheroes get paid? Your financials are everywhere, and he's just like, well, it's a lot of goodwill. Like sometimes like
this long on goodwill.
Yeah, he's like sometimes like Stark was paying you, but like but if Falcon was one of the people who ran away with Steve for that little while, right? So they probably didn't have a whole lot of money then.
No, and apparently I found out that they were living off of S.H.I.E.L.D. They were actually using S.H.I.E.L.D. resources and stuff during that time, but I found that out when I went on a deep dive search to like about Zemo and like just all of that. So I guess they were just basically stealing money from S.H.I.E.L.D. or like what was left of S.H.I.E.L.D. just to like make it by, because he was with
he was with Black Widow
and like because Nick disappeared too, but they weren't like together. But yeah, so then he's sitting there at the bank and he's like, I'm gonna get this money for you, sis. Don't even worry. And like I like the whole time too how he's like, the guy's like, oh, you're an Avenger. How cool is that? And the guy's like, yeah, but I'm also here trying to get a fucking loan. Like, can we talk about
yeah.
So like I just thought that was really funny because like.
What does he say at the one time? He's like, can I get a picture with your shirt off? He's like, you serious?
Yeah, he's like, can I get a picture with your arms out? He's like, are you serious? And then the guy's like, nah, your financials are all over the place. And he's like, no, but I have government contracts, so then I'm guaranteed this loan. And the guy's like, well, not after the blip. Since you blipped, everything's kind of fucked up, so you're not getting a loan. Which it's just like way too close to home for COVID. So like it's just like really, really on the nose for that. But yeah, so then they like walk out, and I like how emotional he is after that. And he's like, I'm gonna go to every goddamn bank, and I'm gonna get you this loan. And then my sister have a really good talk about, like, oh, you weren't there when Dad got sick, you fucked off. And he's like, well, like you did this. And she's like, really? You're gonna say that? He's like, yeah, I am. Like it's a really good like brother sister moment. And then he's trying to fix the boat himself in the next scene, and it just proves like useless. He's like sitting in the bottom trying to fix the engine, and then goes to start and it's not working, and you see him like looking at his dad, and like you can tell just I love that sense of like being at home, just like he's trying to like reconnect his roots, because again he's gone for 5 years, so it's like kind of like similar to Bucky, just trying to find his place, right? And then he gets a message from Torres, and Torres is like, bro, I gotta show you some shit. And like he's like, you got to get to secure lines. So then we see Sam inside like either the house or what looked like a hotel room. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was the house.
He sees the footage of that dude like beating the crap out of people, and he's like, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, he was like talking to Torres, and he's like, I thought you were supposed to be monitoring him online. And he's like, well, I just wanted to check now. He's cool. And then like he's just like beat to shit. Like his like head still broken open. Like he's just beat. So then he's like, yeah, okay, we'll keep this under wraps for now, and like, just let me kind of figure it out, because like he felt like superhuman. So again, it's kind of implied that maybe like Steve isn't dead, or like like that was kind of like maybe another super soldier, or it could be Bucky maybe, because he was like superhuman. So he's like, okay, I know a couple superhumans that might have been, so let's keep it under wraps until I can figure out who. And then his sister comes in. She's like, oh, you got to check out the TV. And they're like, check out the new Captain America. And then fucking Squeedly McDumbfuck just comes out with like the shield looking like a goddamn idiot.
As soon as he stepped out and you get that shot from the back, my first reaction was, that's not America's ass.
Yeah, literally. Cause, like, and so that is what is his name again? Wyatt Russell, also known as John Walker, which is the most American fucking name I can think of. Also known as U.S. Agent. That's who he is in like the comics as well. In the comics, he's a superhuman, so I don't know if they're gonna incorporate that into this. Like, I'm not sure if he is gonna, or he's just gonna be like good with his shield, or like if they're gonna steal the shield. So I'm excited to see what they do with him, because they only show him for, like we said, 15 seconds, and then the episode ends, right? But we can see Sam like really just broken almost.
Yeah, he didn't really want it to get passed on.
It's kind of like seeing like it's like, I don't know how to compare it. It's just like seeing something you really respected just get completely torn apart like Ghostbusters. But yeah, he basically had the same look on his face as we all did when we saw the remake of Ghostbusters. We're all just like, how could they do this to my boy? Look how they massacred my boy. And he just feels super disrespected. But yeah, and then the episode ends, no end credit scene, which, come on.
He'll probably put one after episode 6, but...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking to, introduce it. I don't know if Loki's going to be the next in series, because Loki's apparently going to be connected more to WandaVision than this. But I'm excited. I'm honestly, after this episode, I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah, I'm just excited going forward.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with these characters because, it's obviously differentiated from the comics. So I love the MCU as its own standalone thing. Don't get me wrong, you love the comics, you love the characters, you grew up with this. But the MCU kind of it has to hit both markets. It's got to hit those who know the characters, but it also has to hit those who don't, right?
Yeah, it always needs to be this thing where it's it's surface level entertaining, and then
it's got enough nods for the comic book.
Yeah,
fans, right?
Exactly.
With WandaVision, and I like how they're kind of doing characters that even Agatha, I know her character because I'm pretty sure she's one of the Sinister Six, way back in the beginning, and she's in a lot of the comics, but you don't really. When was the last time you heard Agatha? Never, right? A lot of people don't know who that is. In the comics, she's an old lady and she's got gray ass hair and so I like how they're kind of going back for that. I guess even Flag Smasher and U.S. Agent. I like how they're going.
They can just get so niche at this point.
Yeah, and so I'm curious to see what they do continuing forward. Like I said, because I know that Zemo's going to be in it. He's probably going to be one of the big baddies. But I'm just excited to see all these spy Marvel films, essentially, all of the Winter Soldier and all of that was they're spy movies. Let's put it that way. They're kind of espionage-ish. So I'm excited to see these criminal agencies or criminal minds kind of get together. So I'm excited. I'm just all around excited. I'm excited to see more about Sam and his sister. I'm excited to see Bucky's I'm excited for Bucky to tell Yori. Because I have a feeling it's either going to be Bucky tells them or Yori gets killed, and Bucky's got to avenge Yori, and maybe that's what's going to bring him into it. Right?
Well, I think where we're going is that Winter Soldier's going to get framed for being
I think so, yeah.
And that's probably why Sam's going to go try and check up on him, and that's why we'll see them together.
And we see Sam still trying to check up on him too. So you can tell that there is somewhat of a connection between the two still. How
yeah, be you don't answer my calls. I showed up.
Yeah, right. Or especially if the next one, maybe Falcon's hey, was this you? You in Switzerland anytime in the last little bit? And Bucky's nah. He's well, I need your help. We got to kill a guy that's in Switzerland. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just gonna be a quick phone call. And he's hey, I need your help. And Bucky's gonna be yeah, fuck it, I got nothing to do.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't answer the phone from Sam.
That's true. And maybe his therapist will be you should reach out. He'll call Sam, and Sam will be oh, you have no idea what's going on. It's crazy. So I think overall it's a lot different than WandaVision. But again, it kind of the whole episode just kind of felt like its own little movie. It was a cinematic movie. So, and clocking in at 42 minutes before credits, 41 minutes before credits,
Yes, so far, this podcast is an hour and 10 minutes. So
nice. Well, that's pretty good. So yeah, and then I guess next Friday the next episode comes out.
Yeah, we'll try and be doing this every week. So if you like what we're doing here, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and share this with your friends. If
you like it, or
if you like it, yeah, we're gonna try and do this. If you think it's
terrible, share it around and be look how bad these guys are, and send it to all your friends. Everybody
look at
knows.
This. Laugh at these guys. Yeah, we have been No Thumbs Up, but thanks for checking this out. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks a ton. We'll see you next week on Friday.
Me being the Falcon.